Welcome back to Live at the Roxy. A very special edition today because my friend, who I have not gotten to catch up with in so long, but 2,000 miles can't stop us. JTE in the
What up?
house.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to talk to you. I'm excited to talk about whatever we're going to talk about. It's just fun to be back, talking to my friends. This quarantine thing's been crazy, but it has kind of given birth to this online video chat shows, and it's perfect for me.
I know. I think that like you maybe you wished for this. Not really the COVID part of it, but just the
Yeah,
quarantine part. We definitely have been missing having you in this space, and so I'm happy to have you on. But I know that you've still been doing stuff with movies, and your handle's still JTE Movie Thinks. So
yeah.
I feel like no matter where we could put you on Mars, and you'd still be talking about movies somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with a lot of people these days. Like our friends of ours, like Chris Stuckman, doesn't live in LA. Not everybody lives in LA that is involved in this kind of circle. Now, of course, there's a lot of advantages to being back in LA and Hollywood. I missed my Disney press screenings so much.
I
I will say
remember when
that.
you had those for so long and I couldn't get them, and I asked
That's
to be your
right.
plus one like for years. And you know what you said to me? No.
No.
You
Well,
said to
yeah.
me straight up, flat out,
Listen,
no,
if I didn't have a girlfriend
no.
at the time, I would have thankfully I would have said come on every time, but
I was
unfortunately
like,
that
JT,
spot was
what do I have to
reserved.
do? What do I have to do? And you were like, there's nothing, just not taking you. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I know it's rough. It is funny you think about behind the scenes. Everyone has these press passes and they get that plus one, and it's hard, especially when you don't usually have something to bring with you, like kind of giving it and sharing it and letting some people have it at other times. I was that guy. I had to beg Christian and Ella sometimes for certain movies coming out, be like, "Yo, please bring me to see whatever the next Stallone movie is. I want to go."
Yeah, I mean, luckily I'm finally at the place where there's not any of them that I'm not getting invites
Yeah,
to. I'm not at the premiere level yet. That's that
no,
next
that's
level invite.
another tier.
How do you do that? I don't understand. How are all of our
I
friends
don't
there at
know.
all these like Disney premiere? I'm like, damn, who do you know?
Yeah, well,
That's
I think a lot of our friends worked at Collider, and Collider, instead of just having one person get him, they would give quite a few. So, like, I feel like a lot of the people, if you just worked at Collider, you basically somehow got an invite for the most part, unless you were, on a lower tier.
I didn't even ever ask you about, from a complete outside perspective, how you felt about everything that was going down at Collider. I mean, you had a nice cozy seat
Mm.
to watch in all of the fallout over there. Were you? I know that you are slightly removed, but were you paying attention to everything
Oh
that was
yeah,
taking place?
yeah. I immediately text Ken Napzok and was like, "Oh my god, what happened?" I hit up some other people. I checked in with like Cody and Copster because they still are working there, and I was like, "Are you guys still there?" Like, I just wanted to know who of my friends still had a job. But the same thing, being in LA for as long as I did, and it wasn't really a big surprise. It was surprising, but if you just know this industry and the way it kind of goes up and down and the way things are always changing, even when I was at Screen Junkies, I never felt 100% safe. Like any day, this place could just close down. We got picked up by fandom, but there was always that fear of fandom Monday might be like, you know what? I think we're done with Screen Junkies. Like it is a machine at times, and you have to kind of know that going in. There
I
is no
know.
real job security unless you're working for Netflix or Hulu or some of these Amazon people.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've had a similar experience with Screen Junkies. Everybody knows that like I'm still there. I still call that place home, but I have not been doing shows for them during quarantine because this is not a word they use, is a word I'm using, expendable. I'm not part of
Mhm.
their core staff. And there was a time in which I was there and they were paying for my health insurance and I was there considered full time, even though I was more like what you and I would consider part time because I was just popping in for a few shows. Technically, I was hitting my 30 hours or whatever that it
Mhm.
takes. And then from there, going to part time and now going to no time. It's like you just never know because you could be doing everything right. And then the world could be like, actually, we're gonna just like have a global pandemic. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, right, right, right. So I have no control over my life at
Yeah.
all.
But you were smart, even back in the day. Like you never just put all your eggs in one basket, and I think that was very smart for someone who's freelance. And you have a persona that you could really jump to every show and just like fit in easily. And it allows you to do all these different shows and programs. And a lot of our friends have done stuff like that. I mean, I think back to Alicia Malone. She'd be on Rotten Tomatoes. She'd be on
Yeah.
Third Class Movies. She'd be on Screen Junkies Collider. Like it's good for you if you live in Hollywood and this is like something you're doing for a career. It's good to have a wide net, so you're never really put in a situation where this is closed, what do I do now?
I like to think that it's me being smart, but I mean, I guess we'll see. Time will tell. Speaking of career stuff, so what is the dream now? Obviously, I think it's probably shifted a little bit, but last time I texted you, you said you felt like a retired person, just kind of like wandering around a little more retired.
Yeah.
But what are the aspirations? What are you hoping, and what are you capable and able to do back there?
Yeah, I think the first thing when I moved out here is like I was just wanting to get rid of some of my debt. Living in LA is expensive, and I
Like
was looking
holy shit, expensive.
Yeah, holy shit expensive. When I tell people here how much I just paid for rent, they were like, "You could have bought a 4-bedroom house out here for that kind of money," and it's true. The houses out here are really cheap. So I guess for me, this first year and a half or so, I was really like, you know what? I'm just gonna chill out, take care of some bills, raise my dog for a year, be a good dog dad, and maybe kind of figure out what else I want to do next. I'm kind of looking into doing maybe some stuff in Chicago, maybe even jumping into
What does that mean?
Well, because there's a lot of television and not film production really, but there's a lot of television production companies in Chicago, and that's the thing. And what does that mean? I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
I've looked into it, but I've also looked into some of the sport teams out here. Like I almost wouldn't mind working as like a video editor at like a sports arena, or even maybe something on that side. Yeah, it would be really interesting. Again, I don't really have a plan as right now. I'm just kind of like taking a year off to figure out what I want to do next, and I'm not really rushing it. I'm just kind of enjoying it.
Are you gonna wear a Patriots shirt every time you go to wherever you end up?
Wherever I end up, I'll still wear
Bears.
wherever I go, I'll still be wearing my Patriot colors no matter what. I mean, listen, I will go into enemy territory for a job, but a lot of times, especially living in LA, there's so many people from different cities. Everyone kind of conjugates to LA, New York, and these big cities from other states. It is a little bit more Green Bay specific here in Wisconsin, but I have run into a few Patriot fans, and it's great.
I feel like the Packers fans are so nice. Like,
yeah, everyone here is really nice, honestly.
and everybody in Wisco with their cheese heads. I feel like everybody there is just so sweet. Like I've told this story before, but when I think of Boston sports fans, there's the best of us who just talk shit, and then there's the worst of us who literally, when I watch two grown men at the Boston Garden with these two small woman Lakers fans walk by, and the two grown men spit on them. It's a real
that's horrible.
Spit on them, and I'm like, that's Boston. Like we have some of the we have some of the greatest, but also some of the meanest fans that I've ever seen. I mean, that's an enemy territory you would not want to go into.
I like to think those are just mean people outside of the sport fandom. I don't like to think the sport fandom makes them mean. They're just mean people probably, and they just happen to be that fan of that certain team. Now, I hear like Philadelphia, and you hear about Oakland Raiders, like have some of the like roughest, toughest fans. That could be true. There's different people in different states. I mean, listen, the attitude in New York is very different from a lot of people's attitude in LA. There is, geographical tendencies when it comes to personalities and just overall attitude. And I think, a sport fandom can kind of portray that. But at the same time, I am a huge Patriots fan. I would never treat a woman like that. I would never be mean.
I don't think you would treat a person like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would never treat a person. Just, treat people how you want to be treated at the end of the day. It's a sport. You can have fun. You still enjoy. I don't get on people's cases. I love coming around here and seeing people with a number 12 jersey because it's Aaron Rodgers. And I say, there's only one number 12. It's Brady, not Rodgers. And we both share a laugh. They're not like ready to fight me. We just share a laugh and like, respect. So
what are you thinking about sports right now, by the way? Are you thinking that come fall, we're getting football?
Yeah, it seems like we're going to. In what form? I don't know. Is it going to feel like an arena league with like very little people in the stands. That I really have no idea. I think the next 2 months with everything reopening will really kind of let us know how that's going to work. I was really excited for March Madness. I was excited for the NBA playoffs. I had, I'm not working at this point, so I'm like, oh my God. I was like, I'm going to just dive into all the sports.
Right.
And then this happened, and I was like, no, the two things I love more than anything is sports and movies. And I really can't do either right now. So I do think because football has the opportunity, they're so far ahead of us. It's September. They could push it a month if they have to, and it won't hurt them.
Yeah, that's true. But also another thing I didn't get to talk to you about at all and didn't get to ask you about is Brady and Gronk. I mean,
yeah,
the Brady one, obviously we saw coming a little more, but when Gronk left, was that a kick in the nuts for you?
When he left the year before?
No, I just mean when we saw that he was coming back and we were
Tampa.
trading him. Yeah, because obviously we hadn't had him for a year, but when he left, I guess technically us for Tampa.
Yeah, I'm not super surprised. I do think if Brady was still New England, I think he would have came back to New England.
Me too.
He wanted to play with Brady. I think those two are so tight and they just have such great chemistry. When you work with somebody that long, I mean, Brady doesn't have to tell Gronk what to do. Gronk knows his instincts are just right there with Brady. And it had to be a right situation. Tampa Bay has a really good offense, some of the best wide receivers in the league, which is going to give Rob Gronkowski single coverage on the outside, wherever he wants to go. So for me, and don't forget, Gronk is a great blocker.
But he's also great at getting injured. We'll see how long he lasts.
But they're not going to use him like Patriots used him. He is going to be somebody that comes in for situational blocking, situational in the red zone, really, honestly.
Yeah.
He's not a guy you have to put your whole team back. Like the reason we won a Super Bowl against LA, one of the big reasons besides the defense was because Gronk went down a stream and caught that last catch to put them like 5 yards of the touchdown. Gronk could do that. He could be there for a couple big plays.
Yeah.
But with such a great offense that Tampa has, they're not going to need to use him to win the game. He's just going to be complimentary.
I hate how good I think they're going to be. I hate it. It hurts.
Yeah. Honestly, they had a good team last year. They just had their quarterback was awful. James Winston threw 30 picks.
I know.
30. You'll probably get 3 from Brady. That alone will put you in the playoffs.
It's going to be.
It hurts.
It's like I want football to come back because I love football, but this is going to be a tough. This is going to be a tough way for us to come back after quarantine. Oh,
it's going to be weird watching a Brady-less Patriots, and I will say I will be watching Tampa games and the Patriot games. I looked at the schedule; they're not playing at the same time a lot this year.
So, are you rooting for Tampa? Not over the Patriots, obviously. I'm just saying.
Of course, if you got Rob Gronkowski and Tom Brady, I'm going to root for those guys.
Yeah,
I would never.
I do too.
I would never root for Tampa otherwise.
I know.
But you got those two there. I'm going to root for him because he's my quarterback.
Right. I don't root against Tom Brady, and I just don't. So I feel you on that. And I know I've been asking JTE questions, but you guys have questions for him as well. So I'm going to get to some of these. Don't forget you can submit them if you're a patron in the $10 plus tier on patreon.com/Roxy Stryer, in the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer, or right here in the super chat. We're going to jump over to some of the Patreon questions. Okay, JTE, we go all over the map on this show. So these are going to be like left field, right field. And you'll see what I mean, starting off with Maddie B, who wants to know what American city has the best food?
That's a good question. It's tough. LA is really good because of the variety.
There's so much. I mean, you could get good anything here.
Yeah, that's so. And I'm biased. I lived in LA for over 15 years. So for me right now, because I've only lived in a few states, I'd have to say LA. Don't get me wrong. Wisconsin's good. They have great cheese.
Yeah. What does Wisconsin have for food? What is your guys like go to?
It's very basic. If you want steak, cheese curds, pizza, they have it all here with a lot of cheese. They have some good meat. They have some good steak places here, but it's pretty middle America, I would say. It's pretty basic. Yeah. Nothing. Every place around the corner is usually a barbecue or a bar / bar food. I guess there's a lot of great bar food out here, but not like great restaurants. You can get a good burger.
I gotta say, I love bar food though. I'm a big bar food girl. I love buffalo wings and I love burgers.
I'm right there with you. So I'm happy here. Trust me.
Yeah.
I will say this. I hear Austin is great for food. I've yet to go there. I hear some of the best barbecue you can get.
It is so good. I went for the first time
Oh, you
last
did?
year for a girlfriend's bachelorette party, and
Yeah.
like the amount of ribs and pulled pork that I
Hmm.
scarfed down was because every place was better than the next. Like their random hole in the wall places are the best, and like every single place was phenomenal. So Austin, definitely, if you're a barbecue fan,
Yeah.
holy shit.
And I hear
Holy,
the portions are like double what you would get like in LA or anywhere else.
yeah,
They
massive.
give you a whole plate.
Yeah,
So
I
I
can't
would
stop
really like to go
myself.
there.
I'm
You
one of those
can't?
people who eat until it's done. There's this one fucking fly. Are you seeing it periodically
No,
fly back?
I
I'll
did
show
not
you
see
next
it.
time. It's making me lose my mind.
um,
But what do you think about Boston? I feel like Boston had great food.
Boston had great food. Nothing. Again, I'm trying to think. New York, a lot of people say New York has the best pizza. Boston,
Seafood. Boston
seafood.
seafood is
I
so
think it's
good.
that literally. I used to go to Cape Cod as a kid, and we just go for the seafood.
Seafood, it's
Um,
amazing.
for me, like I'm not the biggest seafood guy, so
Yeah,
for me, it's like yeah, they have great seafood, and I do get it when I go there, but it's not like I'm not like a connoisseur of seafood. So for me,
right.
it's hard to say Boston's the best. I think everyone has specific tastes. A lot of people tell me New Orleans has some of the best food, but
It does have really good food, but it also like has food that makes you feel sick because nothing there
oh
is not
really?
like everything is like so fried and so
Mm,
breaded and sauces and like
yeah.
just a heavy lot of food there.
So I think my real answer to this is depending on what kind of food person you are, is it depends on the state that has the best food. I think
Yeah.
there's a state out there for everybody, I'm sure.
I wonder what like Wyoming's food is. What you got, Wyoming?
Hmm.
Somebody
Yeah.
let me know. PLD in the chat, Paul Denuzio, two of my favorite
Nice.
massholes. Thank you. We're the kind of massholes who don't spit on people. That makes us a cut above. All right, going
Hmm.
back into the Patreon. Glenn says, hello, Roxy and JTE. Happy Thursday. It's great to have you on the show, JTE. Thanks for joining Roxy and virtually hanging out with us today. Here's my question. JTE, do you have a favorite TV show or movie, new or old, that you've watched or are looking forward to watching on Disney Plus? And what about on HBO Max?
Interesting. The first TV show I went to when I got Disney Plus was Gargoyles, which was a
Really?
animated. Yeah, I used
I
to love
love
that show.
I used to paint gargoyles. I
No
used
way,
to
really?
get like yeah, I liked the show a lot when I was
Uh-huh.
younger, and so I would get these what is even it called the white statues that you would
Yeah, yeah,
paint.
yeah, like action figures almost.
Yeah, but they were kind of bigger, and I would paint these like
Yeah.
gargoyle heads. And but then I would
Nice.
want my parents to like display them around the house like they were these beautiful things, but they were like disgusting and green and like I would really not be. They were not pretty, and I'd be like, "Can we put this in the front of the house?" And they were like, "What about in the closet back there?"
They
I was
could
like,
have
"I
been,
love
yeah,
gargoyles."
they could have been like garden gargoyles, like just throw them
Yes,
in the
yes,
garden somewhere.
true.
But so that was the first show I checked out Disney Plus because I it just wasn't something that was available for like in
Yeah,
a lot of places. And I'm happy to say it held up. It really holds up. I love those 90s cartoons that were made for like they weren't really made for kids. They were, but they weren't. X-Men the animated series is very much like this, where yeah, it's a kids cartoon, but they deal with like mature and adult themes at times. There's a little bit of an edge and darkness to it.
mhm.
And Gargoyles really holds up, man. I love Gargoyles. And Jordan Peele is a huge fan of that show and has even said that he would love to make a Gargoyles movie. And if he's a huge fan and want to
That
make
would
that
be
movie,
he is the person to do then. Yes.
it'd be awesome.
Oh,
It'd
that
be
would be
so good.
amazing. What about HBO Max? Are you getting HBO
Yeah,
Max? Do you have Did you see it? The fucking fly.
I think I
Oh.
heard it. I think it
This
buzzed by the.
this is like the Breaking Bad episode. By the end of
Mhm.
this, I'm gonna be like crazy about this fly.
At some point, I just want to see you do this and be
That
like,
would be amazing. Well, I almost just swatted at it, but I was like, what if I fuck up the
just
like
knock the
not
camera.
yeah, just not a good so you have HBO, I'm assuming, which
Mhm.
would mean that you have HBO Max.
Yeah, I had HBO Now, and soon as yesterday the app updated, and of course the first thing I did was jump on there to see like what can I watch on here.
Right.
And a lot of it is going away from the actual HBO stuff, which we've all had if you had HBO, HBO Now and HBO Go. The thing that I think I'm most interested in is some of the Adult Swim stuff. The guy who created Samurai Jack, I'm not going to pronounce his name right, so I'm not even going
Okay.
to
Just
try.
say yeah, that guy. Mhm.
That guy, and I love Samurai Jack. It's one of my favorite shows
I've
ever.
never seen it.
Oh, it's amazing. If you have HBO now or HBO Max, whatever they call it, check it out. It's amazing. But he has a new series on Adult Swim called Primal, and it is a period piece taken during times of dinosaurs, the prehistoric days, and it looks really violent, really stylized, and I cannot wait to just jump into that. I almost started last night, but I was too tired. I probably will start watching episode 1 tonight. So definitely some of those Adult Swim shows that are new and older that I'm really looking forward to digging into.
All right. Going back into the Patreon, Robert McNeil. First, he just said, "Hey, JTE, I have to say Screen Junkies has not been the same since you left." That's very sweet, Robert.
Thanks,
he says, but my actual question has to do with the rule named after you.
Mm-hmm.
So talking Schmoedown.
Mm-hmm.
Do you consider it a badge of honor or a running cruel joke? How did it come about? And when you have to use it, is that weird for you? And then also he wants to know your favorite kind of cheese.
Favorite kind of cheese is just like my Patriots, American. I like American cheese. Keep it simple. Robert Kraft, American yellow cheese. If I'm making a hamburger, that's the first thing I throw on there. I don't like to get too fancy with my cheese.
So in terms of the JTE rule, I've never heard anybody ask that. Is it a running cruel joke?
No, I love it. I am literally in every single episode. And, it's funny to be part of the game when it first started, because with a lot of games and sports, they evolve. And people will find, ways to not cheat it, but, bend the system to try to help themselves. And I just kept asking a repeat to give myself, even if it was 10 more seconds, 20 more seconds, to give my brain that extra processing power to try to pull the answer. And I think it brings a great, form of strategy.
Awesome.
Yeah. You could save them all for the last round, which a lot of people do. A lot of people will save it for the last round. And I think that's smart. You should always go into the third round with at least one in your pocket.
Definitely. I cannot stand when my players use them all in that second round, or even in the first round. And then we get to the second round, they use their last one. The third round, I'm like, how are you going to do this? You're just making it so hard for yourself, because that 5-point question, I mean, you're meant to have a JTE rule for that question, because they're hard. You got to rack your brain.
And also it could come in handy when you just blank out, because there was a question in the first round and the answer was Megan Fox, and you had to name her. You had to give her name. It was like, what actress starred in this movie? And I was like, I know who Megan Fox is, but my brain, for some reason,
doesn't recall it quick enough.
And I was like, the girl from Transformers, Jennifer's Body. I am literally seeing her face, but for some reason, her name would not come to me in that moment. And that was in the first round, and I used a JT rule, which I hate to use in the first round, but you don't want to let an easy question like that get away from you.
No, you should use one then, but you don't want to use 3 then.
Exactly, yeah. I would never use 3 to try to figure out Megan Fox, but I used it that one early round, and it gave me that extra 10 seconds to be like, of course, Megan Fox.
Just so you know, what you just described is me every single trivia match.
Really?
When the second somebody asks me a question, I like that. The first instinct is, I don't know. And then once I place it, I'm like, but what is, like, it could be the answer could be Tom Cruise, and I could be like, what's his name? And like, I can see him. I know everything about, but his name, I don't have it. I can't get to it. It's so strange.
Yeah, it's it's not something you could really. I don't know if you can really practice that. It's just it's a fight or flight.
Yeah, and I am flight. I'm flight every time.
It's tough.
Yeah. Okay. So I love that Robert asked about that, and I'm glad that you don't take it as a cruel joke. That would be so sad if you were sitting there hating it.
Oh my God. Yeah. No, I love it.
Like every time you watched and somebody said JTE rule, you started crying.
Yeah, I love to even have my little face in the corner there. I'm like,
it's awesome.
I'm not in every episode.
Everybody wants a rule named after them. Everybody wants that. That's the dream. You're living the dream, JTE. Living the dream. Ferris Muthana says, when you formed the Patriots, what were your favorite memories with that team? #GOAT team.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I'm trying to think. I remember the match with Rotten Tomatoes, and only because I went to overtime and I got a Dumb and Dumber question right to win the whole thing. That was one of the memories I have the most, because I assumed it was a quote question. It was like, our pets' heads are falling off. So in my mind, maybe it's just me, but I like that is the easiest question. So I wrote down Dumb and Dumber. And there was no doubt in my mind that at least 2 other people would get it. And then to see Gray, Matt, and Jeff all miss it, and for me to land it, I was just in shock. So it was the most surprising and like, oh my God, yes. And of course, it's cliche, but when we first won the titles, it's hard to repeat that first.
There's nothing better than that.
Nothing better.
Wow. I'll never have that feeling of being a competitor who wins.
Never know.
Well, I do have the feeling of being a manager who has players that win, and that's pretty incredible. So I can only imagine if you're doing it yourself. This one's coming in from Weston Ira. He says, what do you Bostonians think about the new 4-keeper rule that starts next year for the MTS? Shouldn't players that haven't played for their teams yet be excluded from the rule? Hashtag Boston Strong. The 4-keeper rule. Do you know what this is about?
I'm out. Is this a soccer thing? MTS?
No, movie trivia Schmoedown.
Oh, I thought we were talking about sports for a second. I thought for some reason it was a sports question outside of Schmoedown because I heard the Boston.
Did you not know what MTS was?
I never call it that. I know what it is. Movie trivia Schmoedown. I've never in my life called it MTS.
Wait, I am confused though because they said you Bostonians. But so maybe I don't know. You guys explain what that question. I don't get it.
Yeah,
Weston, clarify.
Like, what are they talking
Here
about?
I am making fun of you, JT, but you could be right. That could not be movie trivia Schmoedown. I really have no idea.
I was like, what?
I don't know. Let's go into the Streamlabs, guys. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Glenn Caesar says, hey, JTE, even though Roxy had to trade you from the rock stars in the Schmoedown. Yeah, sorry about that, JT. I'm still glad you're in the Rockstars band. Other than Roddy Piper, who's your favorite wrestler of all time, and what's your favorite wrestling match of all time? JT, are you a wrestling person?
I was right until after the Attitude Era. I grew up with wrestling. I loved, it was funny because you go back to the Hulk Hogan, Bret the Hitman Hart days. I loved it. And I think I fell off for a couple of years. Then when Stone Cold and The Rock kind of rejuvenated the whole thing and they had the whole Attitude Era, I fell right back into it hard. And then I think once I went to college, I think I dropped out of it again. I think once The Rock left, it was around the same time I kind of left. But my favorite growing up, I was a huge Mr. Perfect fan. Mr. Perfect, just his attitude, his charisma, his cockiness, I just found it awesome. He would come out, spit the gum, slap it away. Like, I just thought that was the coolest thing. And he had a perfect plex, which is not really a good finisher, but it just looked cool. And that's really what it's all about. The people's
Looking
elbow.
Cool, yes.
Yeah, the people's elbow is just an elbow drop, but it's about what you bring to it. So Mr. Perfect is definitely one of my early favorites outside of Roddy Piper. And I was a Razor Ramon fan just because I love Scarface. I love guys that are cocky, are badass, and like think they're better than everybody else. That kind of heel is the kind of characters I kind of always go towards. I don't know why. And maybe that explains a little bit of my attitude as a Patriot.
Yeah, totally.
In the MTS.
Bringing it down for a second. This came in last night at 2 a.m. from Katie Lee Robinson. And I do want to address it because we haven't talked about it on the stream yet today. We have been keeping up with current events a little bit here, but Katie says, I live 2 miles from the Target that was burned down in Minneapolis and am a team leader at another Target in the city. Life is already so hard right now, and Black lives do matter. I'm just trying to take care of the kids who work for me. It's a lot. So yeah, I mean, we haven't talked about either the with what happened with George Floyd or anything on this show. I don't know what it is about quarantine that is causing racism to rear its ugly head more than usual, but I feel like it is. I mean, I don't know whether it's just that we're paying more attention to the news or whether there's actually more news stories. But from the one we talked about, like in Central Park the other day, I don't know if you saw that, JT, with the woman with the dog. Yeah, all this shit. And I'm just like, I don't know whether I am blind sometimes and just don't see as many stories, or right now there just are more. But what the fuck is in the water these days?
I don't even know if it's just the quarantine. I mean, I feel like a lot of people have said this online. Once Trump got in office, a lot of these people felt like they were vindicated and were able to start spewing kind of this hate, because when your leader and president is spewing some of the same stuff on a national level, I think it allows them to think they could do it also. So
It's
listen,
very true.
there's nothing I hate more than racism. I live by the motto of treat people how you want to be treated. I don't care what you look like or your race. So this stuff is very upsetting to me. I was just talking about it earlier today. It's not even upsetting. I'm just sick of it. I am sick of seeing it. I want it to go away. I remember being a kid seeing racism. You go back and watch these documentaries about the LA riots after Martin Luther King holidays. There was a riot there, but then there was,
and you feel like we've progressed so much, but then we fucking haven't.
It feels like we've gone backwards a little bit.
I know.
And I'm just kind of like, I thought we've done some improvements throughout the last 20 years, and then it gets disheartening to see the things happen. And listen, man, no one should have to lose their life for some of the things that these people lose their lives for. And it just goes to show I don't know how to fix it. If I knew how to fix it, I would do it. I would volunteer. I would do whatever that would need to be done. But
I think
really
most of the people we know would be, but I don't even know. Last night I saw there was a petition going around to get these cops arrested. So it was 3 a.m. and I was signing this petition, but I don't know what the fuck that helps. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. I try to think like, what can I do? What can I do? And I think all you can do really is check in with your friends, talk to your loved ones, make sure that everybody, like, there are ignorant people that can be helped and that we can educate. And then there are hateful people that might be past helping. But you want to make sure that you talk to the ignorant people and you do the best you can to check in with your people and your friends and your family and spread love and not hate. And that combats this. But like, I rack my brain all the time, JT. What can I do? And often I come up empty. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really frustrating. And one thing that was really surprising when I moved to Wisconsin is there is a very segregated community here. And I think living in LA for 15 years.
I didn't know that about Wisconsin.
I didn't know it either until I moved here. And then I did some research. I Googled it and there's like a bridge where you just go north of Milwaukee and it's like a totally different race from over here. It's like a lot of the whites stay south of the bridge and like a lot of the minorities stay up north. And I'm just like, living in LA and some of the places I never felt that before, and to see it here first person, it's like I've gone back in time a little bit.
Yeah,
it's really frustrating. And I ask people that live around here, like, why is it like this? Like, why is it? So
what do they say?
They just say it's the way it's always been. And when they say that,
it's such a bad answer for things.
I know. It's like, okay, well, that's not the way it has to be.
Right.
And I almost wish the governor or whoever runs the state would, maybe try to do something to improve that. But that's above my pay grade and what I know. I was just shocked when I moved here at how segregated this state is. And
did you Google it because you started to notice it? Were you like,
well, I was literally told about it. And they said, people would tell me, like, when I was driving around here, they're like, don't go north of the bridge. And I'm like, why? And they're like, because it's a bad neighborhood. And then I did Google it. If you just type in Milwaukee and segregation or Wisconsin segregation, specifically Milwaukee, you will see a lot of articles about it and even news reports about it. And it's like, I didn't even know there was still stuff like this. Maybe I thought maybe in the South, there's still some stuff like that I wouldn't be surprised. But to be up here in the Midwest, I just had no idea.
This is the things these are the things that keep me up at night. And I guess we're just going to keep on trying and being the best people we can be and trying to encourage other people to be good people as well and hold people accountable for their actions. And it's very clear to me and anybody who's seen the footage that somebody needs to be held accountable for these actions. So
yeah, listen, if you see my tweets, I say it in a very unnice way that
I didn't see your tweets.
That cop should just, I hate to be eye for an eye, but
I know.
There's no punishment I won't disagree with.
Yeah, he did that. He did that. I mean, there's nobody forcing. He did that. So you have to be held accountable, even if you wear a badge. You got to. Yeah. Again, I told you, JT, we go all over the map on this show. So switching tones back. Okay. Dodger Ryan 124 says, "Hey guys, I love all the exclamation points." Rob Gronkowski is the current WWE 24/7 champion. Be on the lookout for him to lose the title during practice or preseason being ambushed. What does this mean?
Basically, he has a title, and by the time football season comes, he can't be holding that title because
Right.
they're going to need
Oh,
someone
okay.
else to have it.
So we should just be
Yeah.
looking out for him to lose it.
If he didn't come out of retirement, he probably would have kept it longer and he would have lost it down the road. But
Yeah.
with him having to, report to training camp and all this, he's not going to really have time for. I mean, listen, Dennis Rodman did it back in the 90s. If you watch The Last Dance, he left during the finals to go be on WCW, and I think he won a championship.
It's so bizarre.
Yeah. And, Robert Gronkowski, he's a fun guy. He likes to do stuff outside of football. But, yeah, he's probably going to lose it just so he doesn't have to worry about it. And after he retires, he'll probably win it back again.
JT, you're not going to like this one.
Okay.
In the Streamlabs, Jake Yacovetta says, just testing, fuck the Patriots, LOL.
Does he mean my team or the football team or maybe both?
I don't know, but I don't like it either way.
Yeah.
He makes me say it on this stream often because he knows if he's going to Streamlab it, I'm going to say it.
You're going to say it.
Come on,
what abuse
Jake.
of power. What abuse of power.
Such an abuse. Wiley Todd in the Streamlab says, I'm watching Friends for the first time ever because of you, Roxy. Wow. And now it's on HBO Max and I'm on season 1, episode 6. What's your favorite season? JT, I don't know if I've ever asked you, are you a Friends person?
I wouldn't say I'm a Friends person. Here's the thing. I like Friends. I watched it when it originally aired. But I have never gone back and just like binged all the seasons. The best I would do is if I'm flipping through the channels and if I catch it on TBS or TNT, whenever.
Yeah.
If it's an episode I remember enjoying, I would usually stop for a little bit. But it's not like to me where Seinfeld was on Hulu. I will just randomly.
You need to start from the beginning, JTE. I'm telling you, it will change it for you. Yes, because it's about. I know, but it's about like falling in love with these characters, which you can't do if you don't experience with them. I know that a lot of shows you can just pop in, pop out, but I feel like this one, it's a game changer if you binge from the beginning.
Really? Interesting.
We're in quarantine right now, so you got the time. It's so good.
There's some good. I mean, there's still a lot of great moments. I remember Red Ross where they had the football game.
Red Ross is amazing.
Yeah, that's a great episode. I do remember watching it when it aired and being angry at the Joey Rachel.
Yeah, that's like it's tough.
There were times where it's like I remember being like, "Come on, you don't have to make these people all have some sort of romantic thing." Like it felt weird, and I don't know if I'll rewatch it if I'd like it more or if it's gotten better with time. But then they became friends again. Then she goes back.
No, it's so good. It's so good. But yeah, I know what you mean. That part's a little tough. There are tougher parts of Seinfeld too, though.
First season is about the toughest.
The first season is pretty tough. But the question being my favorite season, it's a really hard question. I definitely don't think it's season 1 of Friends. Season 1 of Friends is a little weaker. Then it takes off more. I love season 2. My favorite episode is the finale, as cliche as that is. I think that show has like the perfect finale. Really? So, but the beginning of that season, we're still dealing with the Joey Rachel stuff. So that's it takes away. Every season has its highs, typically around Thanksgiving. Their Thanksgiving episodes are amazing. And their lows. But that's what happens. Yeah. Remember, we used to have 25 episode seasons.
Yeah,
it's a lot of time to fill in 10 seasons. So I think of it more by episode, but I'm glad you're watching it. And let me know, keep me posted how you're feeling on it, Wiley. This one is coming in from AJ Lancaster. You're going to have to explain it to me, JTE. He says, carry over from last night's Gucci stream with JTE. The reason you don't do speed on a speedboat is because if you wreck that boat, your body goes rigid in the accident. If you're just drunk, you go limp and you absorb the impact. What the fuck were you guys talking about?
Have you ever seen the clip where there's like 3 girls and 3 guys in a speedboat and they start hitting waves and then they basically not crash, but they hit waves and they get thrown around like a pinball machine. Have you ever seen that video?
The people or the boat?
The people, they just go flying. They don't go out of the boat, but they get we watched the video online and our guess was like this guy rented the boat trying to impress these girls and he didn't know what he was doing, hit the throttle too hard and caused these people to basically get thrown around like rag dolls. And Tom, in the wisdom that he said was like they were probably drunk and that's why it happened. And he said if they were on coke, they probably would have had better reflexes, or at least would have been able to maybe jump out of the boat, or some sort of somersault move.
That could be true.
Yeah, it could be true. But I understand, like they say, if you're getting a fight or something, you get an accident, and you're drunk, your reflexes aren't as fast, so you won't kind of brace yourself. So maybe that'll cause you not to break anything because you're not putting your arms out.
Wait, so being drunk is good because you're not doing that?
Well, yeah, because if you let your body go limp, you're not going to break your arm or hurt yourself as much because you're not bracing. You're not getting tense. That's when, like, a lot of times when you're, at high speeds or thrown, it's because you tense up and your body doesn't, loosen up.
So you actually are advocating for drinking and boating.
No, we're just talking about what happened in the actual video. Like, if you were in the video, would it have been better if they were on coke, or would it have been better if they were drunk? Tom made the argument it would have been better if they were on coke.
Oh my God. You guys are crazy.
Yeah.
But
it's a lot of crazy stuff.
I know that you guys are going to have more questions as we go, but there's a couple of things that JT and I want to talk about also. Starting with some Schmoedown stuff you guys have talked about in here, that I did trade JTE away. And that's a tough thing I'm going to have to live with depending on what happens in the Schmoedown this season. As I have said out loud to everybody, there is one reason only I traded JTE, and that reason was I didn't think he would play this year. That was the impression I was under, that JTE
totally understandable.
Would get no play time. And if he gets no play time, then obviously he can't get any points, and the Rockstars certainly need their points right now. But I know that Snyder, I don't know if you saw this, JTE, when I traded you, Snyder put a post up like, I don't know if I'll ever speak to her again, this trader or whatever, just like so upset. And everybody was saying, did she not communicate with JTE? Did she not communicate with Snyder? And I was like, no, obviously I told both JTE and Jeff. I reached out to everybody to let them know. But you were pretty gracious about it, because I think you understood, like, she's saying, she doesn't think I'm going to play this season. That's the only reason she's trading me. But what was going through your head? Talk about the trade, talk about being now with Robert Meyer Burnett. How is that looking?
Yeah, listen, I totally understood it. I think, it was a risk just drafting me, honestly, because there was, a chance for me to maybe do some shows on the road, especially if you guys were traveling to Chicago, which is less than an hour drive from where I live.
And Boston, which would obviously have been cool.
Would have been awesome. So, like, I think it was a good choice, for certain events I really could have contributed. But for me, I get why you would be hesitant to do it and why you would trade me, because it's almost like when you're drafting a player and they have like a really bad injury, and the school's like, the guy's like, I'll be better by the time it's time to play. But there's always that thing in the back of your head, like, well, what if it doesn't work out? What if I can't use them? What if he can't do this or that? So for me, no matter what, even if you draft me at all, it's a risk.
Right.
It is a risk at the very least. So for me to like be traded, I was like, you know what? Totally understand, because of what happened in the whole world. Everything that I think we had planned went out the window, but it could also mean some different avenues open up. So we'll see what happens. Again, I feel like I'm a reserve. I am in the back, and if the right opportunity presents itself, I'll be ready to jump in.
How is I know people have talked about ring rust before. How do you feel like your ring rust will be? Because obviously it's been a minute.
Yeah, I don't know. I've done a few fan schmo things. Drew Grant had me on her show, and I went up against Jeff, who did a Pulp Fiction kind of like 30 question round. And I felt good. I don't feel like there'll be that much ring rust. I think maybe being back I think just because I've done it so much, once you were the champion, as long as I was, I feel like, and I've done live shows, there's going back to just a regular Schmoedown match, I feel like won't be that much of a stretch for me. And all I've been doing in this quarantine is watching movies.
But do you feel like you're retaining them the way that you were when you were, I know you say you didn't study, but do you feel like you are watching them in the way that you're like, okay, in case I have to compete, these are in the back of my mind?
When I started being in the Schmoedown, it didn't change the way I watched movies, I feel like, in any way, or the way I retained them.
Right.
So I really feel like I'm just going to be better than I was before because I've just had a chance to go back and watch more movies. I filled in some of the, some of the soft spots I've had. Like was not a huge David Lynch fan, but I've actually gone back and watched some David Lynch films during this quarantine, and I've kind of gone back and watched some classics that I've loved I haven't seen in a while. So I feel like I just kind of strengthened my knowledge, but there are some things I could improve on. It's easy when you go to, like, I shouldn't say easy because I don't want to say that, but when you have something that's so specific like the Star Wars tournament, I mean, I can't imagine. I would love to have something where I could just zone in on that one thing. There's nothing like that when you're just a regular Schmoedown competitor. You have to have a vast knowledge of everything. And to me, that's not something I think a lot of people could learn in a year or two. You have to be a cinephile before you even get into the ring. Your whole life needs to really be your training. And I feel like I have that.
Well, people in here mentioning that there might be some kind of a singles tournament digitally. That would fucking suck for your girl Rocks. If JTE competes in that, and if that happens and he competes, that was the risk that I took. I didn't even think that it was an option. Mm-hmm. If it is, then that fucking sucks. And that's the way that this works as a sport. So
yeah,
we'll see.
And if Robert Meyer Burnett, wants to call me out of the bullpen, I'll be bringing the heat.
Oh, I'll cry. Glenn Caesar earlier on, I forgot to read. He said to hit the thumbs up button, and I appreciate you saying that, pimping out the stream. Don't forget, guys, a ton of people watching live right now, so get those thumbs up going. The other thing that I know that we wanted to talk about today, JTE, as we both are big movie fans and have been speculating for a long time now about what the fuck is happening with Henry Cavill. Mm-hmm. Is he in the DCU anymore? Will he don that Superman cape? He said things over the last several months about like how the cape is still in his closet. Nobody's taken it from him yet. But then, of course, we've seen him working on other projects, and there is no Man of Steel 2 announced. So all of this kind of came to ahead with the announcement of the Snyder Cut. And we've really been diving into it this week because now that the Snyder Cut is being released, there's talks about the air suicides. I mean, people right now are talking about all different cuts being released and everything happening. But Henry Cavill is now officially back in talks. Yeah. So what I don't know if it is officially, if I put it in quotes, but he is back in talks. I guess this is a more appropriate hand motion for this to play Superman, but not in a Man of Steel 2 capacity, in a I'm Superman. Sometimes I jump in on my other Justice League members' movies. JT, what do you make of this? Do you think that this is accurate? Do you think this is happening? Are you excited if this is the news? Where do you lie on all the Henry Cavill Superman stuff?
Yeah, it's a mixed bag because I've been really excited to see another Man of Steel film. I really like Henry Cavill as Superman. I think he needed those first 3 films to really grow into the role. I didn't leave Man of Steel like when I first saw Christopher Reeve as Superman, where I was like, that is Superman. I feel like Henry Cavill grew into it. And even though I really have a lot of issues with that Justice League movie, especially obviously the mouth, when he does
mustache gate forever,
forever. When he becomes Superman towards the end of that film, I really felt like he seemed so comfortable, and it really felt like it was no longer Henry Cavill becomes Superman. I really felt like that was Superman, even though it was in a movie that was stitched together and just felt like studio notes. I was like, man, I would love to see a Man of Steel 2. So when I heard this news, at first I just read the headline, Henry Cavill coming back as Superman, and I was overjoyed. And then I started reading the article, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm happy, but they're kind of using him like they used the Hulk in the MCU. The Hulk shows up in Thor Ragnarok. He shows up for the Avenger movies. So I'm guessing maybe he'll show up in, like they're saying, Aquaman 2 or Shazam 2. And then maybe the most you'll see him is, and if there's a Justice League 2, maybe he'll come back. That's next time we'll see him, like, for most of the movie, which, again, at some point, I'm just happy that we'll get any Superman.
But do you think this is because of his schedule? Do you think that they just don't have a Superman movie on the books or anything that they want, a story they want to tell? What do you think this is about?
I think they just don't know if a Superman movie will work, because Man of Steel, I think, made almost $700 million, which is not like a small amount of money.
Right.
But I think they were hoping for that $1 billion number, and I don't know. I think maybe they don't know what to do with the character. Now, when you think of the Hulk in the MCU, I think a lot of it had to do with legal stuff and rights, with Paramount and stuff like that. So, but they have Superman's rights. They could go ahead and make a Man of Steel too. I think they're not sure on the vision of what they want to do with that. I don't think Zack Snyder would come back to do it. They would have to get a new director. There was rumors they were talking to directors like J.J. Abrams at one point.
But do you think that's true, JT? You think that Snyder would not want to come back, or you think Warner Brothers wouldn't have Snyder back?
I think Warner Brothers has tried really hard to distance himself from his first two films.
But clearly not that hard now that they're officially releasing the Snyder Cut.
But a lot of reports I read said that's more about AT&T wanting something for their HBO Max platform. I think the actual WB film department, I don't think they would have approved that if it wasn't for this AT&T Max HBO Max thing. It's a small investment of $20-30 million to bring a whole bunch of people onto your streaming service at the beginning of next year. People will sign up who haven't signed up yet just to watch that.
Yeah, that's very true. It's very true that it is going to bring the eyes and ears, and there's a lot of speculation about what this means for Snyder with the DC, if this is the ending of an era, if this is the start of a new era. We know that Snyder has a great relationship with the cast. This we know. They've all supported him over the years. Ben Affleck, Ray Fisher, Gal Gadot. They've all come out and they want the Snyder Cut to be released. So there also are people talking about, is the reason that Henry Cavill is in talks again because Snyder is possibly involved in something. Do you think there's any merit to that?
I think it's a long shot.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you.
Yeah, I think it's a long shot. I think this Snyder Cut is kind of just a little side project. It's really something for the streaming. I think the fact they have Wonder Woman played by Gal Gadot and you have Aquaman, they can't totally retcon this universe. So I think by bringing Cavill in, just a Superman here and there, you can't reintroduce a new Superman unless they do the whole Flashpoint thing.
But it's so weird, JT, because Superman is not a here or there character. Superman is the character. So, like,
I agree.
I'm just picturing, how does this happen? Like, what does this actually look like? So we've lost our Batman, but we've gained a Batman, but he's in a different time period and possibly different universe.
Different universe, yeah.
So we don't even know exactly for sure what's going to happen, but there is a reality in which Robert Pattinson steps in as our Batman. I don't know. Right. Yeah. I'm not saying now, but down the line, there is a reality in which he becomes the Batman that is working with Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, Ezra Miller. But there's so many moving parts, things that we haven't even addressed right now. Yeah. Ezra Miller beating up a fan and taking her to the ground. Warner Brothers has said nothing. Ezra Miller has said nothing. Are we going to address that, or are we just going to move forward with him? Obviously, Gal Gadot, people love her as Wonder Woman. Jason Momoa is solid as Aquaman. So I feel like the two of them are sticking around. Henry Cavill still being there. Batman we have to have, but is it a third Batman? Is it Robert Pattinson? Is there no Batman?
I mean, it's a mess.
What do they actually do? If you are in that room, JT, and you get to pitch something, what do you think they should do?
I would need like a week in a hotel. I know. With graphs,
like strings,
strings. Like, how do we connect this all? Because you lost Ben Affleck, you lost your Batman, and you're launching a new Batman. And like you said, I can't imagine it'll be in the same universe because you've recast Jim Gordon, you've recast Alfred. It's a whole new cast. It's not like
there's a world in which Flashpoint or Bang or like whatever DC does, the multiverse, or he travels. The Flash goes and gets him. I don't know.
That's interesting. Again, I wouldn't want to be the person to come up with the formula for this.
It's going to seem convoluted no matter what.
I liked Ben Affleck as Batman. I thought he was great, and I wish he would have gotten his own film. Imagine being Batman and never even getting your own Batman film. Yeah. Like, he literally was just, I mean, Batman v Superman was definitely leaned more towards Batman than Superman in a lot of ways. But at the
But
same
still.
time, yeah, you
But
never got
also
to face
imagine
the
being
Joker.
but for all of them, imagine being Superman and never getting a sequel. Imagine being Wonder Woman and not being introduced in a Wonder Woman movie.
Mhm.
Imagine being Flash and Cyborg and having your
Yeah.
movies be announced for 2017 and 2019 and having those years go right the F by and having no movie of your own. I mean, imagine all of it. It's
I
so
feel like
strange.
I feel like we're never gonna get a Cyborg movie. And if it is, I doubt it'll be with Ray Fisher. Like I just
Oh,
I feel like they're really gonna find a way
that hurts
to
my heart.
yeah, and Justice League movie was not very good in my opinion. So I really feel like they're gonna lean away from that connective tissue. The biggest cameo we had was the Man of Steel cameo in Shazam, and it wasn't even Henry Cavill. It was a
Right.
guy in their suit. So I feel like it has been working for them for the most part. It has been working for them as far as financially and critically. The last few films have done really well critic wise, and Birds of Prey didn't light up the box office, but it didn't do bad. But even when you watch Birds of Prey and they're dancing around Jared Leto's Joker by showing him from the back, and they had a stand-in, it wasn't Jared Leto. So they
I
were doing this
know.
weird dance of like winking to the continuity, but not being a slave to it or not trying to continue it. It's a really weird situation, which again, I think at the beginning shows you once they lost Zack Snyder, he really was kind of what was putting the universe together, especially when you hear about the Snyder Cut and some of the people are going to be introduced in the Snyder Cut, like Martian Manhunter and some of these other characters. Like, even if you didn't like his plan, it sounded like Snyder had a plan.
Yeah, I
And
know.
the second that blew up, now everything's scattered and they're trying to put it back together.
Well, we'll see how they do because that's their only option to move forward and try
Yeah.
to make. But you are right; they're making it work. So in DC right now, I trust because they are finding a way to make it work. I
Mm-hmm.
just don't know how they're going to pull this one off, but we will see. Going back into the super chat, Jay
Oliveria?
Oliveria. Well, if I have to go to JTE on how to pronounce something, you know I'm not doing it right. Says, yo, JTE, Patriots forever, Boston strong. Love that.
That's the most
Great.
confident scarf I've ever seen in my life. I
I
mean,
didn't even
fantastic.
notice. I want to see it again. I missed it. Jig Yoda says, Man of Steel is the best Superman movie, and that's that. Do you agree, JTE?
No, I can't agree with that. Only because, like I said earlier, I think Henry Cavill needed those 3 movies to really feel comfortable as Superman. Whereas I watched Christopher Reeve and Superman the movie, and from the second he is Superman, he is Superman. He made that role his own. When I think of one of the best portrayals
Yeah.
of any superhero, it goes, Hugh Jackman's up there as Wolverine, Tony Stark's up there with Robert Downey Jr., and for sure, Christopher Reeve is towards the top of that mountain.
I agree. I completely agree. Glenn Caesar, Paul Denuzio wants us to know that Glenn Caesar wants to say, hit that thumbs up button. Appreciate that. Pimp it out, guys. Pimp it out. Lewis Cox just showing some support. Thanks, Lewis. Jay again. Jay
Oliveria. Look at that scarf.
Oliveria.
There's the scarf again.
Love that scarf. JT, I miss your vids with Lon Harris. So funny.
Yeah. Well, he used to do reviews with me a lot, and we also, whenever we just do videos together back in the MTS days. That's the new slang I'm using.
MTS. But we
yeah,
still didn't find out what that question was about. We got to know more.
Yeah, I really loved working with Lon. I love the dynamic that the professor and I had. It was a lot of fun. We laughed so much off camera as much as on camera.
Lon is so good. Have you been watching his stuff in MTS? His
yeah,
like homeless video stuff
it's
and
hilarious.
whatever. I gotta give it to him. He really is very, very funny. I want to go into the Streamlabs again. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Glenn Caesar says, thanks for giving us a fun show today. Oh, yeah, it's 2:00. We're getting out of here soon.
Oh, wow.
Roxy and JTE, 2 thumbs up. Here's my last question for you both. If you could be a character in Star Wars, a Jedi Sith, X-Wing fighter pilot, or bounty hunter Mandalorian, which would it be? If it's a Jedi Sith, what color lightsaber?
A Jedi or a Sith?
Yeah, Jedi/Sith. Jedi Sith.
That's tough. The Sith are way cooler.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go Sith because Sith they really know how to pretend to be a Jedi for a long time. A lot of these Sith guys, they pretend to be Jedis or they pretend to be good guys, and then they have that secret Sith life in the back burner. I would kind of like that espionage kind of flavor. You get the best of both worlds.
That is the most you answer ever.
Yeah, you get to be both.
Fine. So, what color is your lightsaber?
Let's see. I know red is obviously the classic Vader color. Are all Siths red? Did Count Dooku have a red lightsaber? Because I know Darth Maul had red, Vader had red.
Oh, I don't know.
Is red the official color of the Sith lightsaber?
I don't think so. I think you can do. Oh yeah, Ryan says if you go Sith, you don't get to choose your lightsaber color. Yeah, maybe that's true. Wow. And Jay says Darth Little Evil. Very true. I don't know. I guess I'm kind of the same way as you. I definitely don't want to be a bounty hunter. When we talked about fight or flight, when you've got flight, bounty hunter.
Hey, bounty hunters have those jetpacks. You can just fly out of any situation.
That's true. That's true. So maybe I'm a Jedi. I still like the red though, but I also like purple. I like all the colors. I like black.
Can you have a black lightsaber?
Totally.
Are you talking about
you want.
Wait, are you talking about the light?
No, I'm talking about the actual
saber. Okay, I'm talking about the light.
I don't know if you could do black really, but if it's my lightsaber, I get to do whatever I want.
Yeah, I guess you could. It could be black with like a yellow outline.
Yeah, that would be dope. Are you kidding me? Or white cool. On the whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
Engineer it however I want. Glenn Caesar says Weston meant that MTS managers can only sign 3 players to their faction before the draft. Everyone else who was on their faction becomes a free agent. Yeah, I've been hearing about this. I don't know if this was officially announced yet. We will see what happens here. I don't know. I think it's a tough way to go into a draft. 3 is a lot of players, but it's also a small amount of players. You get to keep a team and a singles player pretty much, that means. And I think that might not cause the league to get shaked up in some ways that I don't know. I feel torn about it. How do you feel, JT?
Yeah, I love this whole draft angle that Christian has introduced in the last year. And
yeah, the draft is awesome.
Yeah, it seems like a really cool addition to the whole thing. It does make it feel a lot more like a sport. Anything that makes the teams more exciting and makes for more players be signed to different teams, I think I'm all for it. I want to see that happen. I think what makes football and basketball these days so interesting is watching these players get signed and traded, like Durant going from Oklahoma after winning all these championships to the Brooklyn Nets. So I like that it's just 3 players. I say, let these managers get a little more creative, and it really makes them put a lot more effort into those 3 that they sign. You got to be real confident. More
creative. I feel like it's my whole life. My whole life is MTS these days. My whole life.
It's too creative.
NFL Caleb just showing support. We appreciate that. And we have been on here for over an hour now, so it is time for me to let JTE go. But JTE, I'm so happy that I got to talk to you today. I miss your face. But I see you as often as I see anybody else now because quarantine. So there's that. In the meantime, until we have you back on, JT, where can everybody keep up with you? Where can they find all the stuff you're working on? What are you doing? The Fly. Did you fucking just see that?
I saw it a couple times earlier. Trust me. Basically, the Twitter, JT Movie Thanks, because I always tweet out any links to any new videos I have. I've been doing a couple of videos like Franchise Ranked, where I just have people come on and we rank franchises. I had Mark Riley on. We did. What did I do with Mark Riley? No, wait. I'm sorry. I had Mark Riley. I did a trailer breakdown of Man of Steel.
What did I do with Mark Riley?
we did a Man of Steel trailer breakdown. I've been doing those a little bit too on the side. But I had Mike Kalinowski, your fellow DC fan. We counted down the DCU films, not counting Joker. And I also had John Roca on, and we went through the Mission Impossible movies. I think me and Drew Grant are gonna do the Nightmare on Elm Street films soon.
Oh, fun!
So until movies are back and running, and I could go review a movie every week, I'm just gonna do some little projects here and there. But once the cinemas are back up and running, I'll be doing reviews weekly or whenever there's a really good movie coming out.
Guys, be cool like Emo say 210 and go subscribe to JTE.
Thank you.
Hard handle to say. Maybe do you think it's the Man of Steel thing? AI, Man of Steel, ICE?
AI, Man of Steel, IC 210. I got nothing.
I don't know. It's a tough handle, but definitely go subscribe, guys. Round of applause at home for JTE. You
I'll give
rock.
myself a round of applause.
Hell yeah. A little bit of housekeeping, guys. Tomorrow, you guys know I do a Friday solo stream. We're going to get some artsy, I think. I don't know what, but I'm in the mood to draw or paint or do something weird.
Okay.
It came by again. And then Kevin Smets is joining us on Saturday at 1 p.m. So tomorrow we are live at 2:30 after DC Movie News. And then the next day, Kevin Smets here to talk all things Schmoedown and whatever else comes out in the news between now and then. Can we get some good news? Can we get some like really good news between now and then? I feel like often, like it's like this Man of Steel. It's like Henry Cavill coming back. Kinda, just kidding. It's like, can I just have like solid good news this week?
Yeah, go ahead and pass a $5,000 stimulus check. Do something like that.
Yeah,
that'll make my day.
That would be great. But either way, I didn't update you guys on this. Speaking of the stimulus check, I finally received mine this week.
Oh, it was delayed?
More than delayed. JT, I would go on to the IRS website and it would just say, we can't deem whether you're eligible or not. What? And I was like, well, I am. So where's my check?
Where's my money?
And they were like, we just can't deem. We can't deem if you are or not. And
I got mine a while
why
ago.
can't you deem that? Why can't you figure that out? I don't understand. I pay my taxes. I fit all of your criteria. What the fuck? So finally this week it came. So good news, because I know I've been bitching about that a lot. First, I got the letter from Trump that it had come, and I got that too. I got that letter first, and I was like, "Where is it?" But then it came, so we are. That helped a
Big
little.
Time.
It helped. It helped me breathe a little bit. But like, I'm just gonna have to use it to pay my taxes.
Yeah, that's tough. Freelance life.
Freelance life means that because they pushed it to July. In July, I am about to be so fucked. I keep hoping that they're gonna push it more.
Yeah.
They haven't.
Uh-oh.
We'll see how it goes, guys. Woo, baby. JT, thanks for coming on, my friend. Happy to have you here. And I'll see you guys. Wow, it keeps flying around. I'll see you guys tomorrow live at the Roxy 2 at 30.